I was saying y'all about Rico from Street Scores, and I probably should have been doing these videos sooner, but I want to take a look at the Commanders' highest graded players so far. We're going after the bye week. We just had a bye week after just playing the Giants, and of course we play the Giants after the bye week this upcoming weekend for the rematch. We play the Giants twice within 3 weeks. I feel like it was a good time to go ahead and look at some of our highest graded players. You're going to be surprised about a few of them for several positions, and then we're also going to dive into like specific grades too, like who has the highest run defense grade, who has the highest pass rushing grade, who has the highest passing grade, the highest receiving grade, the highest run blocking grade, highest pass blocking grade, all of that type of stuff. So I'm gonna pull up the whole Pro Football Focus thing. We're gonna change the sorting order by what and all of that type of stuff, and we're gonna take a look at everything. We're of course gonna look at some of the worst grades for certain things as well, and then we gotta debate about whether or not we agree or disagree. I'm gonna definitely give my opinions throughout the video as well, but I'm also curious in the comment section, how do you feel about a lot of these Pro Football Focus grades? I'm pretty sure y'all are not gonna agree with all of them, but do you agree with most of them or do you disagree with most of them? So again, we're gonna go offense, defense, and we're even gonna look at Tress Way at the very end. And again, we're also gonna break it down by different grades for offense, running the ball, receiving, passing, run blocking, pass blocking, all that type of stuff. Same thing for the defense, coverage, run defense, pass rush, all of that. But before we dive into all of that, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the bell next to the subscription button so you get a notification immediately. And every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one, make sure you pull up every game day for the Commanders live play-by-play analysis by me. Again, every regular season, every postseason, because I'm speaking it into existence. Every game that the Commanders play, I will be live streaming, giving a live play-by-play analysis. Make sure you pull up and laugh and learn, including this upcoming weekend, Sunday, 8:20 p.m. The game got flexed to the nighttime game for everybody to watch, since this is technically an early playoff game, technically. So make sure you pull up for that, and without further ado, let's get it. All right, so starting with offense, right now our highest graded player is Brian Robinson. And as you can see, he's also 6th out of 64 qualifying running backs in the entire NFL. I believe he's the highest graded rookie running back, period. I think he has an even higher grade than Dameon Pierce, which is really cool. I mean, especially after recovering from getting shot multiple times. That is crazy. And then he wasn't even 100% himself until like the past couple of weeks. So that is really amazing. And it becomes from mostly his run grade, even though his receiving grade isn't that bad. His pass blocking grade isn't great. Run blocking grade isn't great either. And it's actually surprising because he has more run blocking snaps than pass blocking snaps, which is a little weird for a running back, but it is what it is. But he has 152 running snaps, 66 receiving snaps, even though he hasn't gotten the ball 66 times, but he's at least run a route or something and just didn't get the ball 66 times this season, according to Pro Football Focus. But yeah, man, he's our highest graded offensive player. Behind him is Terry McLaurin, ranked 15th out of 123 wide receivers. Jonathan Williams doesn't technically qualify. He hasn't played enough for a rank. He's only played 16 offensive snaps, but they have him as an 80 overall grade. Antonio Gibson is 13th out of 64 running backs. That's not too bad with a 78.2, and he has a way better receiving grade than Brian Robinson and a better pass blocking grade by a mile, and even a significantly better run blocking grade. It's just the running grade. Brian Robinson got him on that, and that's enough for him to have a higher grade overall. And then Samuel Cosmi, 12th out of 79 guards. They feel like he's more of a guard than anything else so far this season. And then Charles Leno, 15th out of 79 offensive tackles. That's not too bad. Curtis Samuel, 43rd out of 123 receivers. Not terrible. I can't really get mad at that. I disagree wholeheartedly with the Jahan Dotson one. 88th out of 123 receivers. It's no way, because I see him getting open often. I'm pretty sure there's some stuff that you can nitpick about him, but this low is crazy to me. And then as much as we complain about Trey Turner, they have him 40th out of 87. Not a good grade, 62 at all. But they have these guys even lower. Andrew Norwell, 54th out of 87. Tyler Larson, 29th out of 38 centers. John Bates, 56th out of 73 tight ends. And I feel like at the very least, he's a really, really good run blocker and pass blocker. So I'm really surprised by how low these grades are. But maybe it's just I got to watch more film or something. I don't know. But I just feel like every time I've noticed John Bates, he's been blocking his tail off. Then Logan Thomas is right behind him. You have JD McKissic 62 out of 64. It's crazy that he's played enough snaps to qualify. Feel like he's been gone so long, and even when he was here, he wasn't playing much, but I guess he played 221 snaps at some point this season. I just don't remember it. Then Cam Sims is almost dead last out of receivers. Taylor Heinicke is 36 out of 37 quarterbacks, and they feel like Sadiq Charles is one of the worst interior offensive linemen in the NFL with a 29.7 pass blocking grade. Golly, Sadiq Charles, man, I'm gonna need better from you, man. And then they feel like Nick Martin, out of every offensive player that has played so far this season for us, he is the worst one. The worst, with a 30 pass blocking grade and a 55.4 run blocking grade, which is, I mean, those are both higher than Sadiq Charles, so I don't know why his overall grade is lower. I don't know, but they feel like Nick Martin, out of every player that's at least played one snap for our team, and because Alex Armah's only played 4, Nick Martin is the worst player to step onto the field for us. And you know, I can't really even push against that too much. Now, the worst player, I'm not sure about that, but he has been really bad. So it is what it is, I guess. I don't even remember Kyrick McGowan playing 10 offensive snaps. Alex Armah played 4. Wes Martin only played 1, I guess, technically. That's interesting to know. But there you go. They're your highest right there. And of course, a lot of y'all have noticed that Taylor Heinicke really far down. 36 out of 37 qualifying quarterbacks in the entire NFL. That's quite insane, I'm not gonna lie. Speaking of Taylor Heinicke, as far as our passing grades, they feel like Carson Wentz is 31st out of 37 and Taylor Heinicke's 36 out of 37. They have Carson Wentz with a 61.3 passing grade, 64.1 running, and I mean, I guess he run blocked for 127. I don't know how that works. Taylor Heinicke ran blocked for 238. I mean, they just hand the ball off, so I don't really think that qualifies as run blocking, even though Carson Wentz had that huge hit on my Georgia Bulldog, Roquan Smith, in that Bears game. So maybe that is one of the reasons he has a somewhat decent grade. I don't know, but I mean, they definitely weren't out there blocking for this many snaps for sure. 127. Let me scroll over for y'all, actually. They have Carson Wentz run blocking 127 and Taylor Heinicke run blocking 238. That's a lie. And that's crazy how close they are in age. It feels like Taylor Heinicke's way younger, but they're both 29, about to turn 30. That is crazy. But yeah, man, they just feel like Carson Wentz is literally better in every way but run blocking. And that's just by a very slight margin. So that's really interesting. That's a big debate right there for sure, especially amongst our fan base. And then running wise, Brian Robinson, of course, is number 1. Jonathan Williams behind him. They feel like Curtis Samuel is a better runner than Antonio Gibson so far this season. Of course, I mean, Pro Football Focus grades, you got to take it all with a grain of salt, but that's really interesting. I mean, they feel like Carson Wentz was a better runner than J.D. McKissic and Jahan Dotson. I saw enough from that Jahan Dotson juke spin move for the touchdown against the Giants to know that this is crazy. And then Terry McLaurin, I mean, he had to break a tackle and juke out 2 guys to get his touchdown. The only 2 touchdowns we got against the Giants were complete ultra-level single-man efforts from our receivers. It's not like Taylor Heinicke threw them open into like the end zone or anything. They had to make several guys miss to get those touchdowns. Those were crazy efforts by those guys. So it's just amazing that they have Terry McLaurin with a 37.7 running grade. I feel like that's disrespectful in a lot of ways. Jahan Dotson, they have Carson Wentz and Taylor Heinicke over all of those guys. That's crazy, but Pro Football Focus grades do get a little weird. Then receiving grade, okay, so they did Terry McLaurin right with an 82.3, Antonio Gibson right behind him with an 81.1. They feel like he's a really good receiving running back. De'Ami Brown, okay, above Curtis Samuel. That's really interesting, but he has made a couple of good catches this year, especially from Carson Wentz and even from Taylor Heinicke. That one first down he had in the first quarter, I believe, in the Falcons game, that was huge. That may have been 3rd down, I think, and I think that eventually led to some of the first points we put up in that game. So who knows what happens if De'Ami Brown doesn't make that catch. I believe it's the Falcons game. You just never know with domino effect. If he doesn't make that catch and we don't end up scoring in that drive eventually, maybe we don't end up winning the game. Who knows? Then Curtis Samuel right behind him. Then you have Brian Robinson right there above Jahan Dotson. They just are not feeling Jahan Dotson at all. They have Armani Rogers directly behind him, Dax Milne, Alex Armah, who's a fullback that's only played 4 snaps. And then Logan Thomas. That's crazy. Then all of these guys, then J.D. McKissic, then Cam Sims. Cam Sims, 121 out of 123 receivers is kind of crazy. I'm not gonna lie. That is disrespectful. That's really disrespectful, man. I ain't gonna lie. And then pass blocking grade. They feel like Charles Leno is an excellent pass blocker with an 85.3 grade, but he's a terrible run blocker in their eyes. Then you have Antonio Gibson, who's improved mightily as a pass blocker, and I can agree. Then Samuel Cosme with a 70.8, technically at guard. Then Wes Martin for the one snap that he was in, I guess. Then Curtis Samuel, that's really interesting. Then Trey Turner. Then Cole Turner, that's really interesting because we brought him in to be a red zone threat. He has not been that at all so far, but we didn't expect him to be able to block well, and Pro Football Focus feels like he's actually blocked fairly well. Then there's Cornelius Lucas. Then it's Chase Roulier, who hasn't played much because he's been hurt pretty much all year. Then Andrew Norwell. Then my boy John Bates. That's crazy. And then Wes Schweitzer, who I like a lot. And then you have Tyler Larson, who's been our starting center for a minute, and Logan Thomas even below that, and Sadiq Charles way down here. And then my dog, Armani Rogers, they love his receiving and running and all of that, but they hate his pass blocking. They absolutely hate it. Then run blocking wise, no surprise here. Samuel Cosme is our best run blocker. Wes Schweitzer is the second best. Not really much of a surprise there. Cornelius Lucas is next. Cole Turner is a big surprise, like I already explained. They feel like Tyler Larson's pretty good at run blocking. John Bates, I just thought he was at least 80s across the board, but maybe I need to go rewatch the film. Then you have Trey Turner, then Andrew Norwell, and then, you just have some guys that don't really matter. Then Charles Leno, our best pass blocker, they feel like he's terrible at run blocking with a 58.8. Then you have Antonio Gibson, J.D. McKissick, then Terry McLaurin, Curtis Samuel, all of those guys. And then you still have Sadiq Charles and Logan Thomas under all of that. Brian Robinson, they feel like Cam Sims just can't do nothing right. At least all of these other guys have at least something to their name, except for kind of Logan Thomas and Sadiq Charles. They feel like Cam Sims just can't do nothing. At least Brian Robinson has the running and the receiving sort of. They just feel like Cam Sims is a waste of space, I guess, man. That's really bad. Then moving to defense, highest overall grades, you have Montez Sweat, 7th out of 121 defensive ends, edge rushers. Then Cameron Curl, 2nd out of all safeties, 89 in the NFL with an 85. Jonathan Allen, 10th out of 125 interior defensive linemen with an 81.7. Then you have Benning Pateau, who's only played 9 defensive snaps, so that's weird. Then Derek Forrest, 17th out of 89 safeties, which is just crazy because just like 3 weeks ago, he was like 2nd, and Cameron Curl was like 3rd or 4th, and now Cameron Curl went back up to 2nd. He used to be number 1 at a certain point, and Derek Forrest fell all the way to 17th, so he's just technically, according to Pro Football Focus, hasn't had a bunch of really good games lately, but he's still, top 5 highest graded players on the team. Honestly, 4 because Benning Pateau, that's a weird situation. Shaka Tony's only played 51 snaps. I don't even remember him ever really playing. I'm really excited and high on Shaka Tony, so I'm glad to see the Pro Football Focus loves him and feels like he deserves more playing time. Then you have Kendall Fuller, that's good. Jeremy Reeves, I feel like he's contributed mostly on special teams. Hell yeah, only 25 defensive snaps, so that makes sense, but they feel like when he's been on the field, he's been productive. Cole Holcomb, this is why you miss him. He's right up there, top 10. Danny Johnson, when he's had to step in. Fadarian Mathis only played 3 snaps, but they felt like he was looking pretty good in those snaps. Casey Toohill, Tariq Castro Fields, who's only played 6 snaps. Khaleke Hudson's only played 2. Then you have James Smith-Williams. Then Benjamin St. Juste. I'm very surprised by this, even though they feel like he's a great pass rusher, but nothing else. Then Deron Payne is this low, and I feel like he's having a Pro Bowl, arguably all-pro season. Jamin Davis is 58th out of 82 linebackers. That's crazy, because I feel like he's been really good this season, but the only thing they like from him is his pass rush with a 68.8. Then Bobby McCain, I know a lot of fans are going to be like, of course, obviously, but I don't feel like Bobby McCain has been 67th out of 89th bad, honestly. But of course, John Bostic's down here. Percy Butler still have a lot of learning to do, but I love his potential. F.A. Abada, I feel like every time he's coming, he's flashed relatively, so I feel like that's fairly low. David Mayo, not surprised. Rashad Wildgoose, not surprised. Christian Holmes, definitely not surprised after what I just saw against the Giants, even though, again, I feel like he gets too much hate for that Darius Slayton bomb because he was there every step of the way and then just fell down for no reason at the end. And then you have Daniel Wise, who I feel like has played fairly well as well. Then John Ridgeway, I mean, terrible in every way, but for some reason they feel like his coverage is A1, even though he technically doesn't have a coverage snap. So I don't understand this grade right here. It is what it is. My Leffler, DeMarcus Fields. I'm not even exactly sure who that is. And then William Bradley King. So those are the defensive grades overall. Now we got to dive into each individual one. As far as run defense, they feel like Cameron Curl is our best run defender, but Montez Sweat, like I just talked about in my previous video, one thing really underrated about Montez Sweat and Chase Young are that they are elite run defenders, period. Pass rush wise, they have a lot of potential. They flash here and there, and Montez Sweat has even had a couple of dominant games this season, especially that game against the Titans, even though he let Ryan Tannehill escape that one sack where I thought he was over with. But at the very least, the very minimum you're going to get for those guys is great edge setting and run defense from Chase Young and Montez Sweat. That's one thing you do not have to worry about. Then you have Shaka Toney, which I love to see. I mean, I feel like he's more of a pass rush specialist. Literally bring him in 3rd and longs, 4th and longs, obvious passing situations. I feel like his pass rushing is not good, but his run defense is. That's interesting. And he has a 78 coverage. I keep saying, I mean, I haven't watched the tape enough to know if Shaka Toney's actually been good in coverage, but I've been saying since we drafted him, I think we should move him to like an outside Sam linebacker and watch him work, and I guess Pro Football Focus agrees. Then Kendall Fuller, surprisingly, is our 4th best run defender according to Pro Football Focus. I'm not surprised about Cole Holcomb being top 5. Then you have Danny Johnson, Jeremy Reeves, Jonathan Allen is all the way down here, which is surprising. Casey Toohill, Derek Forrest, Jamin Davis. I'm surprised by this because I feel like he has played fairly well. And then James Smith-Williams. This is why I guess technically you can't wait to get Chase Young back, because again, at the very least, Chase Young is a great run defender. They feel like James Smith-Williams is not, with a 59.7 run defense grade. So that's one way Chase Young can immediately impact and help our defense and help us win games, run defense wise, because James Smith-Williams as of right now is starting in his place. David Mayo, I mean, that's really the only reason you're on the team, so that's crazy that grade is so low. F.A. Bada, I'm not surprised by John Bostic. Benjamin St. Juste, love him in coverage, but I'm not surprised by this as well. And then Deron Payne, I feel like he's doing an excellent job, so I am surprised by that. And then John Ridgeway, I feel like that's the only great thing he's been doing is stopping the run and eating up double teams. So I'm very surprised by how low this grade is. I'm gonna have to really see Pro Football Focus's logic as far as that goes, because I feel like that's the one thing he has done well, other than doing wrestling moves on running backs. And then next up, pass rush, they feel like Jonathan Allen has been our best. They feel like Benjamin St. Juste has been our 2nd best. That's really interesting. Then Montez Sweat, then Deron Payne, then Jamin Davis. That's really interesting as well. Then Cameron Curl, F.A. Bada, James Smith-Williams, and it goes on and on and on. Really interesting, though. Those are very, very interesting. And then coverage-wise, I'm going to ignore John Ridgeway. That's a fluke. That's an error in the calculations. I don't know. I guess they think that both of our Arkansas defenders are our best coverage guys. John Ridgeway and Cameron Curl both happen to go to Arkansas, so maybe they just have a bias towards Arkansas. I don't know. But other than John Ridgeway, Cameron Curl's number 1, Derek Forrest number 2, Shaka Toney, very surprisingly, number 3, Casey Toohill, very surprisingly, number 4, Montez Sweat, very surprisingly, number 5. Then you have Kendall Fuller, then you have Cole Holcomb, which is why we miss him, Jeremy Reeves, Bobby McCain, then Benjamin St. Juste, even though I feel like Benjamin St. Juste has been excellent, but it is what it is. James Smith-Williams, that's a surprise. Danny Johnson, not very surprised there, kind of in the middle. Alright to average, slightly good or whatever. Jonathan Allen, I mean, we don't care about that. F.A. Bada, we don't really care about that. Deron Payne, we don't really care. But I'm very surprised by how far Jamin Davis is. They feel like out of all of the guys that have played even one coverage snap, Jamin Davis has been our worst coverage guy out of everybody, even worse than John Bostic, and I refuse to believe that. I don't care what film they watched. I refuse to believe that one. And then lastly, before we get up out of here, they feel like Tress Way is the 25th best punter in the NFL, and I have to disagree wholeheartedly on that one. I'm sorry. I'm not letting y'all get away with that one, man. Tress Way the 25th? I don't know what it's based on, but y'all gotta stop hating, man. Y'all gotta get my boy in the Pro Bowl for sure, because he's out here doing magical things, making the impossible possible sometimes as far as field position changing and stuff like that. So show some love to my boy Tress Way, Pro Football Focus. Feel like y'all hated on a few of our guys, but Tress Way is one of the guys you don't mess with in Commander Nation, man. Leave him alone. Do right by him, bruh. I swear. But yeah, man, that's the end of this video. Please get in the comment section. Let me know how you feel about everything discussed in this video. How do you feel about these grades now after that we went through them? I know y'all disagree with a lot of them, but let me know which ones you disagree with the most and why, and let me know which ones you agree with the most and why. And also, of course, man, let me know if you want me to do more videos like this where I show the grades and all of that. Definitely let me know that for sure. And of course, man, I appreciate all the support, man. Please leave a like on this video if you liked it, if you learned anything. Shouts out to all of my sponsors, especially my Pro Bowl sponsors whose name you see scrolling on the screen right now. I'm gonna catch y'all later. I'm out.